It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We have some pretty huge breaking news in the city and county of Los Angeles. It's been a really bad week. Actually, it's been a really bad couple of weeks for the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority that Judge David Carter ripped a new one for not having any way to track the money they've spent over the last 18 years. We found out that Los Angeles County voted to defund LAHSA and create their own department, which is really just a shoveling of the deck chairs on the Titanic, because most of the people that worked at LAHSA are now just going to work directly for the county, and I doubt we're going to see much accountability. But again, another stain for the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. And now, what do we see? A Friday at 5 o'clock shadow drop. The CEO of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, Valicia Adams Kellum, Valicia Adams Kellum has resigned as the head of LAHSA. That clip, by the way, is from when Karen Bass so excitedly announced that she appointed Valicia Adams Kellum, Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum, as the head of LAHSA. Where was she before that? Well, what do you know? She was the CEO of a homeless nonprofit, one that I've heard a whole lot of stories about in Venice, the St. Joseph Center. Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum made a salary of $430,000 a year. And on top of the fact that homelessness is just as bad as it always was in Los Angeles County, on top of the fact that they have no accounting for where any of the money is, and they've been fudging a lot of the numbers to make Karen Bass look good. On top of all that, just a couple of months ago, there was quite a scandal of brewing, because it was uncovered that Valicia Adams Kellum, I'm so sorry. Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum, who runs LAHSA and their billions of dollar budget, wrote a check to her husband's nonprofit. How is that ethical? Oh, that's right. It's not. So let's find out what happened here. Why is Valicia Adams Kellum... Why is the doctor leaving LAHSA? I mean, LAHSA is pretty much dead at this point, so I think we know why. But hey, here we go. Change is being made. And this is once again a massive insult to Karen Bass, because this was the person Karen Bass said was going to change the game and was going to fix LAHSA. And now LAHSA's dead. I feel like a lot of people are breaking against Karen Bass.
No!
And she's not looking good, because she locked arms with the county. She locked arms with LAHSA, and LAHSA's defunded. Valicia's gone, and the homeless budget is part of the reason Los Angeles is in a $1 billion budget hole. All right, let's find out what happened here. This just broke a few minutes ago, but we do have a report from ABC7 Eyewitness News.
With live breaking news.
Who does their VO? That guy sounds awesome.
With live breaking news.
Live breaking news.
With live breaking news.
We do begin with breaking news, a bombshell announcement from the head of the LA Homeless Services Authority.
They love to bury this stuff on a Friday at 5 o'clock, because who's going to be doing a live show talking about it? Oh, that's right. This guy.
We do begin with breaking news, a bombshell announcement from the head of the LA Homeless Services Authority just days after county leaders voted to defund the joint agency.
It's been a bad couple of weeks for LAHSA. Actually, it's been a bad couple of entire existence for LAHSA.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Cotaroblis in for David Ono.
I'm Ellen Leva. You're watching Eyewitness News at 4 live on ABC7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. Just moments ago, the CEO of LA's Homeless Services Authority announced she is stepping down.
She spoke with Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell. He is live in the newsroom to tell us what she is saying after handing in her resignation. Josh.
Now, when she resigns, does that mean she forfeits the rest of this year's $430,000 a year? The previous CEO of LASA didn't make that. This is a Karen Bass thing that she did. And it, again, something else that can contribute to the budget deficit in Los Angeles. When she found Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum, she said, oh, we're going to pay you $400,000 a year. How about that? When she needed to find a new head of the LADWP, she found Janice Quinones. And Janice Quinones needed to have her salary doubled to $750,000 a year. Why? Who knows?
Mark and Ellen, another change.
It's almost like Karen Bass is not very fiscally responsible.
We're a little late.
Mark and Ellen, another change coming to the leadership of LASA, culminating a tumultuous week at the organization. Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum has resigned and is now the fourth top official at LA's homeless services to leave in just the past 5 years.
Holy cow. It's a mess. And I don't know why anyone would want to go in there unless, I don't know, because it's such a mess, you can make a whole lot of your friends rich, including Valicia Adams Kellum, writing a $2 million check to her husband's nonprofit. I'm telling you, something stinks with so many of these homeless charities.
The CEO's resignation coming just days after LA County voted to dial back their dependency on LASA for homeless services.
And something that you're going to be seeing throughout the state of California in the next year is something that we've been covering a lot on the John Phillips Show, and that is the corruption trial of former Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao. And outside of the fact that she's just hilarious to talk about because she's Shangy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Part of the corruption that's being talked about in that trial with her and this very influential family, the Dong family, who was the owners of a recycling company called California Waste Solutions, was that they were starting a new company that was going to provide, you guessed it, affordable housing to the city of Oakland, modular homes that they were going to purchase for who knows what and sell to the city of Oakland for a massive profit. You get one of these contracts to build affordable housing or tiny homes or converted storage containers, what have you, you're going to be making a mint because nobody knows how much any of this stuff costs. They just say, well, there's services. If you actually ask what the services are, sometimes the services are a bottle of water. I'll take you to San Francisco, where we pay so much money for ambassadors to walk through the streets of San Francisco. And this is also something that goes on in Los Angeles and Culver City. It's a program called Urban Alchemy. And do you know what the Urban Alchemy ambassadors do? They walk places like Culver City and downtown LA and the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and they see a homeless person and they say, hey, would you like a cigarette? Hey, can I offer you a smoke? And they call that a check-in. And you know how much we pay for each one of those check-ins? $8. There is so much corruption in all of this. How much money has the St. Joseph Center, which Valicia Adams Kellum ran before coming to LASA, getting from the city and county? How much money has she funneled to that organization since she left? And how much more money has she funneled to friends and family that we don't know about?
Voting Tuesday to create their own county department. Adams Kellum served as CEO for 2 years, which saw LASA experience great change in restructuring data and financial systems. Homelessness,
including writing checks.
Homelessness in LA County also went down for the first time in years last year.
Yeah, that is a rounding error fudging of the numbers. There's so much made of the 2024 homeless count, which the way they track these numbers is wildly inaccurate to begin with. You remember the last year Mike Bonin was in office as the city councilman for Venice. He fudged the numbers to make it look like there was a 30% drop in his district, and it's just not true. They had to relook at the numbers and say, oh, we weren't counting people that we saw in cars and all this other nonsense. Heck, Nithya Raman is trying to go out there saying that there's a 40% drop in her district. Have you driven around Sherman Oaks lately? It's just simply not true. They can fudge the numbers all they want so they can say their programs are working, and then they can dupe the county of Los Angeles to voting for more money coming out of your pocket every single day for these programs. Although now that money's just going directly to the county, so it's going to be Janice and Hilda and Holly and Horvath and Catherine Barger, they get to make it rain on all the nonprofits.
And raw data showed promising results for the 2025 count.
Yeah, that was another thing. In the face of the lawsuit that Judge Carter is looking over, where there's no tracking for how any of this money is spent or how any of the outcomes are. We don't even know who these people are that are inside Karen Bass's motels or permanent supportive housing, or what even the concept of permanent supportive housing is. All this nonsense. They were getting so much money, sending it all out, and no one knew where any of it went. And they put out phony numbers in January, which they never do. They made the count in January, and somehow by February, they had new numbers. And they're like, oh, the number's way down this time. Just you watch. Yeah, if the numbers were actually way down, I don't think she'd be resigning. I don't think they'd be defunding LAHSA. And by the way, all of this money might be going to a special master, might be going to a receivership if the judge doesn't like what he sees in May. And I don't think the judge is going to like what he sees. This is the same judge that went to the VA, and he saw what the VA did with land that was reserved for veterans, for veteran housing. And they leased it out to UCLA for baseball fields into a fancy schmancy private school. And he said, hell no, build the veteran housing. That's what the land was for. This judge better take the money away from the county, because defunding LAHSA is just step one.
But a series of audits, which included the first year of Valicia Adams-Kellam's time as CEO, found waste in the city and county's homeless spending with money.
You know what's so funny? So I see this pop up because I'm subscribed to all the local news channels on YouTube. So when something new happens, it shows up on my YouTube immediately. And always before the show, I'm flipping through. So I see it. I watch the video. I'm like, well, that's what we're talking about today. I dial into the radio station, and Wayman, our wonderful board up's like, hey, Frank Moteg wants to know, have you heard about Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellam resigning? I'm like, of course I have. And then here we are 15 minutes into this segment, and I get a text from John Phillips. Breaking, LA Homeless Services Authority CEO Valicia Adams-Kellam announced her resignation. I'm like, yep, I'm on it. You can't get one past me. I'm on it always.
Money missing in services not being tracked.
Yeah, it is something that I feel like has been talked about for the last decade, ever since we voted to tax ourselves in 2016 in the county with Measure H and the city with Measure Triple H. We have no way to track all this money that we've been giving. Every single time you buy anything, you're giving money to the city and to the county to solve homelessness. They were supposed to build 10,000 units of housing. That didn't happen. You remember those bridge shelters that Eric Garcetti built? And he said, we're going to make these special enforcement zones. So we'll have the homeless shelter, but no one can be in an encampment around the homeless shelter. And that was a bald-faced lie. Every single one of these people is so unbelievably incompetent or just straight up corrupt. And again, based on the shady deal that the FBI is looking at with Sheng Tao and the city of Oakland, there's no way that that's an isolated incident. I guarantee there are more crooked deals that have been going on in the city and the county of Los Angeles with this homeless spending.
This is part of the reason why LA County voted to create a new county-run homeless services department with more accountability.
No more locking arms for you, Karen Bass.
Work on that new department is underway and will be completed by July 1st of next year.
It was clear that many of the areas of work that have been our focus would likely be moving to the county, and it seemed to me clear that it was appropriate time for me to transition as CEO. It is a somber day for me because I care so much about the people who are hurting outside.
The homeless people or all the nonprofits that you're not going to be able to fatten their wallets with? Like, and I'm always going to use it as an example because it's so outrageous that everyone needs to hear it over and over and over again and not let it normalize. Homeless healthcare Los Angeles. True story. Somebody called into the John Phillips show this afternoon, and they were shocked that you see people dealing and doing drugs right outside a homeless health center. And I had to explain, that's not a homeless health center. There's a nonprofit funded by the city, funded by the county, most likely also funded by LAHSA, called Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles. And Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles owns a piece of property on Skid Row that says Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles. Do you get healthcare if you go to Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles? No. You know what you get? Meth pipes and needles and syringes and foil and spoons and straws and anything else that you would need to get as high as you want. The drug dealers literally stand outside. So you get your pipes and then you get your teeth of meth. This has been going on for years and years and years. Barbara Ferrer hires Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles and other nonprofits to pass out needles in places like Santa Monica and Skid Row. And we know the devastation of that. We also saw Eunice Hernandez just announced that Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles is coming to MacArthur Park with crisis response teams where they drive around in little tiny go-karts and see if anyone passed out so they can give them some Narcan. Because if they die from an overdose, then they obviously can't get more meth pipes, which means that they're going to get less funding for the meth pipes. We don't want these people to survive. We don't want them to thrive. We want them to be just barely alive so they can continue using their drugs because this is how they make their money. They may think they're doing something right, I guess, or they know that they're profiting off of human suffering. But we enable this. Our tax dollars enable this, and it's completely unacceptable. I give such a huge shout out and such a huge applause to the mayor of San Francisco, Daniel Lurie, because Daniel Lurie announced that he's reversing all these nonsensical, harm reductionist, crazy policies. And that is the right call. Fortunately, in Los Angeles, we're not doing that.
And hope that we will continue the focus and momentum that we started in the last couple of years. You got to know that I would have loved to have more time. I certainly have been very proud of the work that my team and I have done.
Really? You're proud of not having any accounting for what any of your programs have done? You don't even know where the money went or what it was spent on or what the outcomes were, and you're proud?
Now,
Well, I mean, she was making bank. $430,000 a year.
Now, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass supported keeping the city and county partnership on homelessness in place.
That's the best part about the county dumping LAHSA, was that Karen Bass was actively protesting it, and they realized that Karen Bass is a sinking ship, and they have unlocked arms.
And called the county's decision to create its own department disappointing. Bass also said she worries the new county department will set progress back, and the city of LA will have to see how it will respond to the change. Mark and Ellen.
So there is the breaking news. The head of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, Valicia Adams-Kellum, Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum, has resigned the same week that LA County voted to defund the Los Angeles Homeless Services Department, the same time that the judge who is overseeing the massive lawsuit over all this spending is a month away from putting all of this into a receivership, because the people spending your tax dollars either don't care where it's been going, because throwing money at the problem means you're doing something, or they've been funneling it to their friends and family, like Valicia Adams-Kellum, who wrote a $2 million check from LAHSA to her husband's nonprofit. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. To repeat the breaking news, the head of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum, who was making $430,000 a year, who got caught 2 months ago writing a $2 million check from LAHSA to her husband's nonprofit, has resigned on a Friday at 5 o'clock. Your reaction to the defunding of LAHSA and the resigning of Valicia Adams-Kellum. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Scott in the Hollywood Hills. Scott, hello.
Randy, hi. You know,
Hi.
exactly 1 year to this day, April 4th, 2024, Judge David O. Carter threatened, and he called it a brilliant idea, he threatened a receivership over the county and over the city. And I tweeted and Instagrammed that transcript, highlighted I don't know how many times. Nobody in the mainstream media picked it up. KNX, they know me. ABC, CBS, KCAL, all the local stations. Not one station reported this this threat of great magnitude, especially with the soccer games coming next year and the Olympics and so on. And now it's making news. So I'm just calling to say, what's really people talk about the mainstream media. It is so biased. And you know what? What really bothers me is that one thing about KNX, they call themselves a news station. The one piece of news that they won't broadcast is that KNX is owned by Odyssey, Audacy. For those who are listening, Odyssey is owned by George Soros. He picked it up in a bankruptcy auction a couple of years ago. And,
that's true.
They've got Craig Figner at City Hall every day, tilting a microphone, looking for a soundbite to call in, and he's just acting like a stenographer at City Hall. He's not investigating anything. He's not digging. He's not inquisitive. He says, give me a soundbite so I can call it in and call myself a journalist.
Well, and you know what
That's
the result of that is?
Right now.
That station gets access. Karen Bass will go on KNX any day of the week. She'll never come on this radio station. She'll never talk to John Phillips or myself because she doesn't want to have to answer tough questions. She won't even do interviews with regular TV right now, but she'll go on KNX and she'll go on Spectrum News 1 because those are friendly outlets for her. Scott, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Whether you want to react to LAHSA being defunded, the resignation of Felicia Adams Kellum, or you want to rip on KNX, sure, go for it. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. The breaking news today is that LA Mayor Karen Bass's appointed head of LAHSA, Dr. Felicia Adams Kellum, resigned. Doctor. She was making $430,000 a year, got the job 2 years ago, and was instrumental in making sure a lot of LAHSA funding went to Karen Bass's Inside Safe program. And I'm sure a lot of that money went to her former nonprofit, the St. Joseph Center. She is gone. This right after a scandal emerged where she wired $2 million of LAHSA money to her husband's nonprofit. I'm sure that was all on the up and up. And, of course, the audits from the judge overseeing the lawsuit against the city and the county of Los Angeles, David Carter, who have shown that LAHSA has not been tracking where any of the money they've been spending has been going or shown any of the outcomes. It reminded me today that Karen Bass and Dr. Felicia Adams Kellum gave me a lot of joy when she first appointed Felicia because I started having fun with that clip.
She put the lime in the coconut, she called it Doctor. Woke him up and said, Doctor. Ain't there nothing I can take? I said, Doctor. To relieve his bellyache, I said, Doctor.
What's she a doctor of anyway? I'm going to guess the Ferrer kind.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, public health directors seem to make way more money than actual doctors sometimes. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you want to react to the head of LAHSA, Felicia Adams Kellum, resigning, LAHSA getting defunding, all of Karen Bass's plans for homeless blowing up in her face, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Hector in Southgate. Hector, hello.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. Good talking to you. Love your show. No, my question is, are they going to investigate her and her husband, and see, about the money, that $2 million that she kicked up to St. John's, right, St. Joseph's, and the corruption? It's loaded with corruption. You think she'll be investigated?
If I had to guess, based on what we've seen with former members of not only the LA City Council, but the LA County Board of Supervisors, I guarantee there is most likely an open investigation at the FBI to all of this.
Good. They need to all go to prison. That's all I have to say.
You make a really good point. Thanks so much for the call, Hector. Appreciate it. You have people that have profited off of human suffering, that have enabled and exacerbated this homeless problem to get more funding. Maybe some of them believed that what they were doing was right, but the outcome speaks for itself. And the fact that they have not been able to track outcomes or where the money is spent or what services means or permanent supportive housing or any of this nonsense, it pretty much is criminal. And Karen Bass is tied up with all of this. It was Karen Bass that appointed Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum. It was Karen Bass that had all of these emergency declarations so she'd get emergency funding for Inside Safe, a program that has showed very little results while costing the city money it does not have. Your reaction to the head of LAHSA resigning on a Friday at 5 o'clock. 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Melissa in Burbank. Melissa, hello.
Hi. Nice talking to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make a broad comment here. I think the corruption in California is systemic. This is one of many, many, many local agencies that are ripping off the taxpayers. And I wanted to put it in perspective. This is one little town, Sherman Oaks, in the middle of Los Angeles. Whatever happened to the light rail? It was something like $30 billion went to Gavin Newsom up in Sacramento to build the light rail a decade ago, and it's still not built, and the money is missing. And he has a trust account in the Cayman Islands with something like $160 million. I was just digging into that, and now I'm hearing this. And I'm thinking, this is like peanuts. Where's the oversight? Where is the oversight
that's the thing.
when this is...
When you have a one-party county, when you have a one-party city... When you have a one-party county and a one-party city, there is no oversight. There's nobody making sure that any of this money is being spent well, because it doesn't matter. They can ask for more, and they seem to get it every single time they ask for more money.
And doesn't it seem like a quid pro quo, as they say? Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'll kick you back a few bucks if you send some money to me. And then, I mean, the idiocy of this huge amount of money going to relative nonprofit. I mean, don't these people have any conscience of being caught in the act? Well, she's caught. She's busted. She's humiliated. She's going to have to say, oh, she did her best. What else could she say? The fixers are in town now. So I think for all of us who are in California, especially all of us older people who haven't seen this level of corruption since Nixon, I guess Nixon would be considered that. But on the local level, it is so out of hand. And no wonder California's busted. And then all of a sudden the fires, now the feds have to bring money into California again. A lot of people don't realize the coffers were gone. The coffers were, in the red here in California before the fires. Now Gavin's going to Trump for money. I mean, it's so chaotic, and it's such a whirlwind of corruption. How do you control this? Because at this point, to me, it's like all these career politicians, all these bureaucrats, they know how to bleed the system. So when somebody says, oh, California's anemic, no, it's not. It's bleeding. It's hemorrhaged. How do you sew this back up?
Well, first you got to root out the problem. We got to see what the feds have, because I'm sure they have a lot, and arrest anybody that has been drifting and moving this money to their own benefit. We're seeing a lot of that. And then we might have to have a serious talk of, is LA County too big and too easily corruptible? Is the state of California too big and too easily corruptible? Those are real conversations that we got to have. Melissa, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. California is a state where you're going to spend more than any other state on your taxes, on fees, on doing anything, filling up your gas tank. But we don't see a lot for it. We are a high tax, low services state. Now, some cities, like Melissa was calling from Burbank, you see where your tax dollars go. But in the city of Los Angeles, I don't see where my tax dollars go. I really don't. The city budget is $12 billion, and they're $1 billion short. And what exactly is all of that money going towards? Because the city is a mess, and the people that are running the city and the county have been a mess, and the mismanagement is rampant. So we're going to see what happens with all this. It's very interesting that this resignation happened this week before Judge Carter might throw all of this into a receivership. But I feel like a reckoning is coming. And Karen Bass is going to have a really hard time surviving all this when this is her number one issue and she's failing at it. And the people she put in charge of it are abandoning ship. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Your reaction to the head of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, Felicia Adams-Kellum,
Doctor
Felicia Adams-Kellum, resigning on a Friday at 5 o'clock. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The head of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority,
Doctor
Felicia Adams-Kellum, who was making $430,000 a year for the last 2 years, resigned on a Friday, just 2 days after LA County voted to defund the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. Your reaction to Felicia Adams-Kellum going bye-bye. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, you may recall a couple months ago, I asked you if you could ask the U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles to look into this idea that our tax dollars are being used to help people break federal drug laws. Do you recall that?
I do.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, I don't know if you had any luck with that, but I put a call into Assistant FBI Director Dan Bongino's people about 2 weeks ago off the air, and I put a special request in for him to look into this idea that our parks are turning into heroin addict disposal areas for needles. And his spokesman said, I'll pass it on to him. So I don't know, what's going on, but somebody, I'm not going to say who, but it sure looks like somebody's about to be indicted. You cannot write a $2 million check and wire it to your buddies if you're a public official and not get the attention of the feds. It's impossible. And even when the banks are involved with something over $10,000, they have to report that. So somebody's going down, and I'm not going to say who it is, but I think we know. And Karen Bass, last thing, she should have been indicted years ago for this thing with USC, which, what a coincidence, involved homelessness, and the same person, as we know, who got nailed for bribing Mark Ridley Thomas with his shenanigans. So somebody, and maybe Karen Bass is finally going to pay the piper on this, but she should have been indicted a long time ago.
It never made any sense to me, Bill, that Mark Ridley Thomas went down for something that was the exact same scandal with Karen Bass, minus the using USC as an intermediary to wire money to his no-good kids charity. But she got one of these BS degrees for a whole lot of favoritism towards USC and didn't seem to get any kind of punishment for it. It's very possible there's an investigation open because there's a lot of corruption to go around in the city of Los Angeles.
You got it. And for the record, Royal Oaks weighed in on this. When I asked him about that, he just out and out called it the same thing that Mark Ridley Thomas did. He had no problem calling it bribery. And that sure looks like what's going on here. But this lady would not have resigned if somebody hadn't notified her that she's about to get nailed big time, because she had too much money to make just sticking around. So something's going down with her, and it's about time.
I think you make a really good point, Bill. Thanks so much for the call. And anyone that wants to send information to the feds, if you happen to know something or want something investigated, remember Assemblyman Bill Asaley of the San Bernardino Riverside area. He is now a U.S. attorney for the state of California. So hit him up on Instagram or on Twitter at Bill Asaley and let him know what you think should be investigated. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC as we celebrate the sudden departure of Valicia Adams Kellum. Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum, formerly of the St. Joseph Center crooked nonprofit that Karen Bass appointed to head LASA for $430,000 a year. She resigned just 2 years later after a devastating audit showed that LASA has not been tracking how any of the money that they've been spending went. They don't know what the outcomes were. They don't know who got money, which leaves a whole lot of room open for straight up corruption. Speaking of corruption, what did Dr. Valicia Adams Kellum do? Oh, yeah, that's right. Just a few months ago, it was revealed that she wrote a $2 million check from LASA to her husband's nonprofit. I'm telling you, there's something that stinks with all of these homeless nonprofits. I'm sure there are plenty that are on the up and up, but there are probably as many that are straight up criminal organizations, like we're seeing in Oakland right now. Thank you all so much for listening. We got the breaking news whenever it happens. Keep it right here on 790. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.